there. We're tackling a pretty fascinating topic today, artificial fluency. And one of the things that jumped out at me was this whole concept of pattern languages. Honestly, I had no idea what they were before this, but apparently they might hold the key to unlocking more natural sounding AI.
Absolutely. You see, pattern languages aren't just about aesthetics. They're about understanding the deeper structures that make things work well. And what's fascinating is how these patterns, which were first explored in architecture, can be applied to something as fluid as conversation.
Okay, so before we go any further, I think we need to break this down a bit. We've got this architect, Christopher Alexander. He's the brains behind this whole pattern language idea. But it sounds like he wasn't just talking about designing buildings, right?
You got it. Alexander believed that good design is about recognizing these recurring patterns in how people interact with the world around them. Whether it's building a city or even a conversation, there are underlying structures that make them feel intuitive and comfortable. He saw design as a kind of conversation in itself, where these patterns act as a shared language.
So instead of rigid rules, it's more like having a set of tools, these patterns that you can use to create something organic and responsive. Kind of like, if you'll forgive the comparisons, as improvisation, but for buildings and conversations.
Exactly. Think about patterns like light on two sides in architecture. It's not just about making a room look pretty. It's about understanding the human need for natural light and designing spaces that fulfill that need in a way that feels natural and comfortable.
I'm starting to see where you're going with this. So how does this translate to something like, say, a chatbot? Are you saying that there are patterns in the way we talk that could be used to make AI sound more natural?
Precisely. It's about identifying those underlying structures, those patterns of exchange that make human conversation flow smoothly. If we can teach AI to recognize and use these patterns effectively, we can move beyond clunky robotic interactions and create AI that truly feels like it's holding up its end of the conversation.
Okay, that makes sense. But how do we even begin to identify these patterns in something as complex as human conversation?
That's where things get really interesting. We're starting to see AI that can actually learn these patterns on its own.
Wait, learn on its own. So you're saying AI can figure out the rules of conversation without us explicitly programming them in?
In a way, yes. It's like this. Remember those architectural patterns we talked about? They emerged over time as people found solutions that worked, that felt right. AI can do something similar with language.
Okay, I need an example because my brain's starting to feel like it needs a cozy nook right about now.
So you just naturally used a pattern there, connecting our earlier conversation to your current state.
hmm
That's the kind of thing we do effortlessly as humans. And increasingly, AI is showing signs of being able to do the same.
So like, what kind of signs are we talking about? AI poets composing sonnets or something?
Well, not quite sonnets yet, but there have been some really fascinating developments. One of the sources you share talks about something called magic rabbits. Have you gotten to that one yet?
Yes. Honestly, at first I thought it was completely unrelated. Magic rabbits, AI, what's the connection? It felt like falling down a rabbit hole.
It's a great analogy, though.
Yeah.
And it perfectly highlights how AI can find these elegant solutions, these patterns, on its own. In geometry, a magic rabbit is an extra point or line you add to a diagram that suddenly unlocks the solution to a complex problem.
So it's like a shortcut, but one that requires a flash and insight to find.
Exactly. And what's amazing is that Alpha Geometry, this AI developed by Google DeepMind, learned to find these magic rabbits all by itself. It wasn't programmed with them. It discovered them through trial and error.
Wow, okay. So we've got AI finding elegant solutions to geometry problems. That's super cool. But how does it relate back to language and fluency?
Because it demonstrates that AI can find creative solutions even in a domain as seemingly rigid as math. Imagine applying that same problem-solving ability to language. What if AI could find those magic rabbit patterns that make dialogue sparkle, that make it truly engaging?
So you're saying that by looking at how AI learns in other fields like geometry, we can start to imagine how it might one day master the nuances of human conversation.
Precisely. It's about looking beyond the surface and understanding the underlying processes at play. Just as those magic rabbit solutions make mathematicians say, aha, I never saw it that way before, AI could discover linguistic patterns that change how we understand and even use language.
This is all incredibly fascinating, but I have to admit it's a lot to wrap my head around. What does it actually look like to apply these magic rabbit discoveries to language and build AI that can truly understand and use those subtle patterns that make human conversations so nuanced?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? But that's where your deep dives gets really exciting. Because you've also included sources that explore the potential of these pattern languages to revolutionize how we interact with AI. We're talking about AI assistants that go way beyond setting timers or adding things to your grocery list. Imagine AI that can help you brainstorm ideas, craft compelling narratives, even provide insightful feedback on your writing, all while feeling as natural as talking to a colleague or a friend.
Okay, now that's a future I can get behind. No more struggling to find the right words or staring at a blank page. But AI can do all that. What does it mean for us as humans? Will we even need to communicate directly with each other anymore?
That's a question a lot of people ask, and it's an important one. But I think it's not about replacing human connection, it's about amplifying it. Imagine being able to bounce ideas off an AI that understands the nuances of your field, or collaborate on a creative project with an AI that can challenge your assumptions and push you in new directions. It's about expanding our own creative potential through these partnerships.
So it's not about AI becoming human, it's about AI helping us become even more human.
Exactly. Think of it like this. The better the tools, the more intricate and impressive the craftsmanship. These AI tools, these pattern-aware AIs, could become extensions of our own minds, helping us communicate and create in ways we haven't even imagined yet.
Now that's an exciting thought, but I have to ask, where does this all lead? What's the ultimate potential of this technology, of understanding these fundamental patterns of human communication?
It's hard to say for sure, but that's the beauty of it. We're on the cusp of something truly groundbreaking. By cracking the code of human communication, we're not just building smarter machines, we're deepening our understanding of ourselves. And who knows what incredible breakthroughs await us on the other side of that discovery.
It certainly seems like we're on the verge of a new era of communication, one where the lines between human and artificial fluency become increasingly blurred. And that's a future I'm excited to see unfold. And to everyone listening, thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of pattern languages and artificial fluency. We hope you found it as thought-provoking as we did.